numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
We are Masters Radio, an online music community finding ways to enjoy and support the master artists who have created the soundtracks to our lives. We can show that musicians on our platform will benefit from increased exposure, engagement, healthcare, and other benefits, fundraising, and growth opportunities that empower them to thrive. Today, it is an absolute treat to have Lou Gramm on the show with us. I was inspired as a young man, actually pretty much a kid, to be a singer in a rock and roll band by a few very notable names. The foremost among them was Lou, but you're in good company with Paul Rogers and Steve Walsh of Kansas. So those were the people who I listened to in high school, and they are the rock singers of note as far as I am concerned. I can't tell you what a treat it really is to have you with us.
Thank you so much. You put me in good company.
Indeed, so it's as so many of there was just so much great music coming out there that to rise to the top of that is truly an accomplishment, and I am so glad that you are apparently celebrating a lot of that in several ways in the next several months. In a few weeks, you'll host the Hits Unplugged is it the Tile Center?
What is it called?
Tile Center in New York, Till Center, Tilly's.
I think it's Tillings, yes.
Tilly's, okay, Tilly's Center, okay. As I understand it, it's a stripped down kind of acoustic evening to support the upcoming musical. That's another thing that you're
That's
involved
correct, yeah.
with. Okay, what inspired you to step behind the mic in this intimate format? This is very different.
I've done it a number of times. A lot of times when Foreigner used to go to radio stations at 7 a.m. in the morning for the morning show, it would be a little crazy to bring the PA and the drums and the amplifiers, the Marshalls, and all that stuff. So we'd go up there with a couple acoustic guitars and an electric piano, and the drummer playing maracas or tambourine, and we'd strip down a couple of our songs, even the heavier songs we'd try.
Very good, very good. In the context of a musical, all right. So this is, as I understand, it's called "Feels Like the First Time." This apparently is an initial event, a premiere, or a fundraiser, or something like that for the actual musical. It's going to debut in the spring. Do I have that right?
That's correct. Yes, you do.
Okay, tell me a bit more about what was the impetus to get that started.
I haven't gotten the complete story, but I believe it started well over a year ago, and someone had the idea to more or less tell the story of a band, and more or less mimic our beginnings, and the existing band on the stage for this musical is very talented. And they play great, and they, it's a loose adaptation of how Foreigner was founded, but with a different name and different characters, but it's very well done, and the band sounds great on stage, and I think it stands to be very successful.
Well, I'm pleased to hear that, because I was wondering how, with you being so deeply tied to the original versions of the song, how you felt about what they've done, and were you at all involved in that creative process?
No, not really. And it doesn't sound exactly like we do, but it's a good adaptation, and it's nothing that makes me cringe or anything like that. It's doing it their own way, and they do it well. And even if there's liberties taken or there's instrumentation that's not quite the same as ours, when you hear it in that setting, it sounds awesome.
That's great to hear. All right, so I understand. You mentioned getting started, and you remind me we have something in common. We've both played the Bayou in Washington, D.C.
I think that was our first show.
I think it was. Yeah, that's how I know that. Yeah. So
And you've played there too?
I have as well, and I'm so glad it's gone.
The place is gone?
Yeah,
Probably for a
yeah.
long time now, huh?
It has been, yeah. It truly was a an institution in the DC area, but it was a pain in the rear end to play in. But so a guy named Adam Pascal is apparently leading this musical charge. Have you worked with him at all?
I'm not even sure who he is. Is he the producer?
He's the producer, apparently. Yeah, yeah. So I was going
Okay.
to ask if you had any experience with him.
No, not at all.
Okay, all right. So sounds exciting though. So I understand it's like the 5th of September. I think.
I think it's something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's early September. We will definitely have the proper date in the show notes that we'll have for when we release this thing. But it sounds very exciting, and it's not the only thing you're going to be doing.
Oh no, I got a
You,
busy
looks
bunch of months ahead.
it looks like that. Yeah. So it looks like you're stepping back on tour with Foreigner in December. Am I right about that?
Yes, I believe we're playing live the Foreigner 4 album.
Hmm.
And I think it starts a little earlier than December, I think. I'm not
Okay.
sure. And
Okay. Yeah. Again, the dates will be in the show notes, but
yes,
that is just amazing.
yes, and we're doing the whole album, and we're doing there, that even though there's 10 songs on the album, there were about 12 or 14 songs written.
Ah,
And there was a deadline when we had to be done with the album. And so the 10 on the album is as excellent as they are, there were 3 or 4 unfinished songs that were equally as excellent. So they've sat for 40 some years now, and over the last 2 years, we've had the impetus to finish them. Most of them needed uh, uh, the last verse of the song sung, some harmonies, and maybe an exciting out chorus or something at the end, to finish the song. So Foreigners Management asked me if I would consider going back to sing the last verse, put some harmonies on the vocals, and sing the last chorus out, and the current band would do some guitar riffs over it and stuff like that. And those some of those songs have been released already. For instance, there's a song that's out now called "Fool If You Love Him." Have you heard that yet?
I have not heard that yet, so I'm going to make sure I make a point of putting that in the show notes as well.
Yep, and every 3 or 4 months there we finish up another one and put it out there for the audience to for the radio listeners and whoever else to kind of digest and bring them back to that era.
That is excellent. So I was going to ask if these things were on some compilation or greatest hits, but no, they were never even finished until
No, they
now.
were never even finished.
That's fantastic. I don't know if you know what Masters Radio does, but we play only new music from artists like you, first popular at least 20 years ago or more. And we started that because so many fans we saw at concerts that we were going to didn't know the new stuff. And so
Yes,
didn't really get engaged. So the idea that you guys are putting this out there early in advance of these shows, and I wish there was more of them, quite frankly, Lou. It doesn't look like you're getting down to our area. But they are it's a fantastic way to build fan engagement is get them excited about the shows in the first place. I was going to say that a number of bands I was at Styx 2 weeks ago, and they did one of their albums all the way through, and they had Kevin Cronin with them doing one of his REO albums all the way through.
right.
And you hear things you would never have heard in the concert normally,
No,
but Foreigner 4 was all hits.
I mean,
I don't
I
think it was,
mean, those songs have been in the
yeah,
vaults for
yeah,
40 years.
yeah, yeah.
And
So
it's
it's
it,
great
it's
getting
only
released.
recently that we played the master tapes and heard how good the song was, and then some way where around 2/3 of the song being played, you hear it kind of fall apart, and,
Oh,
and it's
wow.
because there was no last verse. There was there were drums and bass and stuff finishing the song, but there was no lead guitar doing riffs at the end and stuff. It was a great idea that wasn't completed,
Yeah.
and we ran out of time. Because we had to have 10 songs complete, mixed, mastered, and ready to print on albums
Hmm.
by a certain date.
Yeah.
If you miss that date, your release date could be put back 3 or 4 months.
Yes.
We didn't want that. So we were satisfied with all the songs on Foreigner 4, but we knew that there were four, maybe five ideas that were three-quarters finished. And oh, we had plans to put them out, and nothing ever, nothing ever was fulfilled.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing that it happened. And what a treat to be able to listen to those old masters. I bet they sounded fantastic.
And to be honest with you, I would say almost every album we recorded, there was a situation like that. We'd finish the album, but we'd look over our shoulder at least three, maybe four ideas that were really good, and we just didn't have time to finish them. And we would say, "Oh, we'll finish them later and put them out as a compilation." 40 years later, we finally dig up in the vaults and we see these three-quarter finished songs, and we finished them.
Very good. Very good. I think it was Leonardo da Vinci that said art is never finished, it's just abandoned.
Yeah, that's
And
correct.
so he would certainly know. But yeah, that's the idea is if you've always got stuff coming along, and at what point you just say, we got to cut it. And usually it's an external decision, as you mentioned, the album's got to go to press. So
I
let's
mean,
get
the
it out there.
Beatles have made albums out of just the ideas,
Yeah.
and you hear them, they sound great, and then they fall
Mhm.
apart
Yeah.
after 2.5 minutes,
That's
and you go, wow, that was such a good idea, but they didn't finish it.
They did. Yeah, yeah. We saw a lot of that with the Get Back show. Yeah,
Yes.
it's interesting, and I see a lot of, and I think what's happening is, first of all, there's a dearth of other things to put on television, despite the thousands of channels there are. But there seems to be either, I want to say, a resurgence, because it's never happened before. There's this new approach of documenting bands that were popular 60s through the 80s mostly, which is
Hmm.
when I
Hmm.
think most music had the biggest influence from a societal perspective. I don't think it has the influence does now that it did then. Everyone knew who you were. I mean, everyone knew who you were. It was just that was the way it was. And
Yes,
do
that's
you
correct.
see, maybe perhaps, I mean, there's a musical about you, you're doing a tour. You think there'll be a foreigner documentary?
It seems like the next logical step, doesn't it?
It does seem like it, and bands tend to be doing fairly well with it. Some friends of ours, Collective Soul, just did one. There's a couple of them out there before that. Obviously, the Get Back one I just mentioned from the Beatles sort of flipped the switch and said, "Oh yeah, we can do this." Um, but so speaking of the musical and the concert, you're juggling a benefit concert, which is the thing coming up in early September, the musical, the tour. It's quite a feat. How are you
But
balancing and pacing yourself?
we're not involved in the musical,
Oh,
only
okay.
as just to listen and enjoy,
Oh, I
and
see.
maybe
Okay.
maybe a little oversight if something's radically needed, if we could help out in any way. But um, I think it's going to be all the artists that are playing the songs, and I haven't seen any clips from the rehearsals or anything, but I think we're going to be there at the debut,
Ah, yeah, I would
opening
hope
night.
so. Yeah, yeah,
Opening night, they call it.
yes, that's right. Yeah, I would hope so. And it sounded like a great approach. Sometimes these things work incredibly well.
Yes.
Sometimes not so much. But with any luck, I'll be looking for some sort of release on it when they're actually have done the benefit concert, see what it's like, what that part was like. And
I
then
think
be looking. I think it's April, right?
yeah, yes, and I think we're gonna see it in its completion, and I think they're going to start off Broadway first,
Mhm.
and if they get uh, uh, um, some up speed and momentum going, then at some point you might see them on Broadway.
Yeah, it would not be the first time. Um, and so yeah, that would be something really interesting. And then it caters to an interesting audience in that I don't know how many 20 somethings go to the Broadway musicals. I think certain ones like Hamilton and stuff that certainly do,
Yes.
but it's the right time because typically the theater goers are a little closer. I think you're a little older than me, but not by a whole lot. But
Hmm.
at our age and maybe a little bit younger tends to be more of that consumption audience for Broadway, period. And then now we have the very music we grew up with, you know,
It could
it's
affect
interesting.
sales.
It absolutely could affect sales. And I think it could, more to the point, open up the notion of musical theater to an audience that really didn't understand it, that well. They would think of things like, Oklahoma and stuff like that when that came to mind. That need not be that way. Although I think Hamilton set a new bar for that as well,
I mean, if it
making it
catches
more
on, we
accessible.
could get ourselves in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
You could indeed, and certainly about time.
We're in it already.
Yeah, yeah. But you can get in for multiple times, right? For multiple
No,
events.
I don't think you can. But
Oh, you can.
uh,
Oh, okay.
no,
Okay.
no, just
Okay.
once.
Yep. Yep.
But I'm not sure if you're aware of the story. Uh, we were eligible over 20 years ago,
Right.
and a lot of our contemporaries got in, and for some reason, we were never nominated, which seems very strange to me. And a few years ago, we found out that there was someone in the nominating committee that had a problem with us
Huh.
and kept us out of that area for over 20 years. And we finally, I think, at one point, our management and Mick went over his head to the board of trustees and asked them if there was an outstanding reason why we were never even nominated. And they couldn't find one, and looked a little deeper and found a problem with the person who would extend the nominations and end up letting that person go.
Yeah. Well, as I should. Yeah.
Yeah,
It shouldn't be a popularity contest.
no, and he had a problem with us for
Huh.
some way or another, personal taste or I don't know what, but he kept us out of that area for a long time, and after they let him go, the very next time they held the nominations, we were nominated and we got in.
Yeah. Very good.
I
Very
think
good.
that
Yeah.
was
I did
three
not know
years
that
ago.
story. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
and that could be a
Wow.
musical itself.
It really could be. So, or a documentary. Yeah. That's
Yes.
right. Um, yeah, it's not. We're doing something similar in the DC area, trying to get off the ground a Hall of Honor. We call it, not a Hall of Fame, but similar to what the Country Music Hall of Fame in Dallas or the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame spoken of.
Sure.
There's a place to go to show your love for the music that often was incredibly influential in our lives. Our approach, though, is going to be a little bit different. There'll be no nominations. Everybody who is of a certain level, like just a master's radio artist, for example, had a first certified or 20 years ago or more, would be in. And then living musicians would be able to come and do, we hope to make it interactive. They would have classes and things like that. So a younger
Hmm.
generation that didn't grow up listening to foreigner music would be exposed to it, would be able to participate in it. A lot of the things we're doing with AI allow us to
That's
say,
nice.
make a song like a foreigner song and then make up lyrics like they did to try to get out some of the same emotion that you feel, but you
Yes,
haven't found an artist that is articulating that you can latch on to today.
I like that idea.
Yeah, thank you. It's we'll be in touch because we're going to be looking for people to help us out with it. Um, I really think that it's important in terms of fan engagement to go beyond the ticket sales and the tours, which they're great when they happen and it's great to be there. But it's an ephemeral event. You have that one thing and it's over. And then the idea of getting the music is great, but there's a little bit more to it when you're holding an album in your hand, reading the liner notes, listening to the music through the headphones. It's more of an experience than it's the next thing that popped up in your Spotify playlist.
So
So I think that,
you get to see the growth from day one, right?
yeah, yeah,
That's kind of great.
it is.
That's something that not many people have experienced.
Yeah, yeah. So it really is impressive to see how, and I think we can rekindle the idea of music being much more of an influencing medium. And we kind of owe it to our communities to do these kinds of approaches because a lot of music school school music programs are not what they used to be if they exist at all. Um, it's very tough in the public education realm to get a lot of exposure to great music in some locales. So we want to be sure that's an option we offer as well. Speaking of the future and things like a legacy, what is this particular stage in your life is returning to touring and helping to the extent you are with the musical and doing these shows with Foreigner, both unplugged and actually I think you just did some down in Latin America with them, right?
Yes.
How's that affecting you personally? What sort of things did you like about it? Did you hate about it, if anything? How's it making Lou feel?
I mean, it's great to be on stage and do the music and see how it affects people who have never seen the band before, have heard the music on the radio, etc., but have never had the live experience before. Even though it's not the original band, it is Foreigner, and they play and interpret the songs just the way we would. And so the fan response is like they're seeing the Beatles, and you can't.
It's an more even mix. I don't think it's all little teenage girls like it was with
No,
the
no, no, no,
Beatles,
no,
but
no.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
no, they're yeah, there are younger people there, but it's still, I think the majority of the people are in our age group, and they just act like young teenagers. That's all.
yeah. And they really do. I was a year ago. I saw the tour that they did with. I can't remember who it was now, but it was, of course, with Kelly singing. Louis was playing guitar and also
Mhm. Of
singing. Jeff, who is a friend of the station, is we've been a huge fan for his other bands.
course.
Just does a fantastic job. You're right. They play the songs true to form. They do them in a way that the audience gets it. The audience is singing the entire time. It's a rock concert, and
I,
they're incredibly motivated. Yeah.
I know that Dennis Elliott and Rick Wills from the original band, the drummer and the bass player, would sometimes go and play 4 or 5 songs with the new Foreigner, and they would get great response too. Just as a little sit-in to have those guys be part of it is really well received.
I'm sure it is, and I've seen it with other folks. They had Chuck Panazzo out in the last six show, and he's
Hmm.
not the bass player all the time, but he
Right.
comes out there, he does his thing, and the crowd they do a little feature for me, and he just,
That's awesome.
yeah, it really is. I mean, because it's we the people who grew up listening to that music owe him and his bandmates so much
Yes.
for
Yes.
creating that soundtrack, and you as well. As I said, there's songs that I've been waiting for a girl like you was the song that was gonna be our wedding song, but we eloped instead. Uh, it
Attaboy.
just yeah right, it was cheaper. So but it just there's just so much that you have delivered to the music community, and the amazing thing is you're still doing it, and
You've heard the story about Waiting for a Girl, right?
I have not. Tell me.
Um, it climbed up the charts when it was a single, and it got to number 2 in the Billboard charts, and stayed at number 2 for over 12 weeks. And number 1 was "Let's Get Physical" by Olivia Newton-John.
Mm,
That was number 1 for 12 weeks. And finally, she fell to number 2, and we fell to number 3.
uh,
So we never got to number 1 with that song.
yep,
But
yep.
we set the record for the most weeks at number 2.
That's yeah, that's amazing. As I recall, the only song that you got to number 1 was "I Want to Know What Love Is." Is that
That's
right?
correct. And it
Yeah.
went number 1 around the world.
Yes. Yes. Such a powerful song. Just you know, and they did the band last year did just an incredible version of that. One of the things that I liked, and I don't know when it started, but was if you were ever involved in it, where they would get a local choir to come up and do the choir backing
Now, who is
wherever they
this?
went.
Who is this?
Yeah.
Who is?
The last this current foreigner line or the foreigner lineup when they
Yes.
came last summer, they
Oh
had a
yeah.
local high school choir come and do the part of "I Want to Know What Love Is." It was one of the
Yeah.
encores,
Yeah.
and
The original band used to do that too. We had
I thought so.
a a, a girl who was a background singer for us in the band, and we would send her ahead 3 or 4 days ahead of when we were going to perform, and she would go to either high schools or churches and find a choir and teach them the parts and have them all prepped and ready to go.
I
and
was wondering how
and
it worked.
yeah, we would rehearse with them at sound check, and most of them were superlative, and then they would come out with their robes on during the show, you know, and some of them were church choirs, and their singing was so chilling that it blew the audience away.
Yes, yeah. You get that kind of response. First of all, they tended to be young, at least the ones that I saw tended to be young
Yeah.
people. It's a school, certainly. And they were just, the excitement was just, palatable. You could just tell they were just incredibly privileged. They were in front of 40,000
Oh yeah,
people.
absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So what a treat.
We've had
It did
children's
really well.
choirs on stage,
Hmm.
with some adults, but kids around 8 or 9 years old singing,
Yeah.
and they were great.
We've been talking a lot about how the youth get engaged in your shows, but watching them in this case, participating in them.
Yes.
For the young bands who are maybe thinking about trying to accomplish what you have accomplished in your lifetime, what sort of advice could you give them about how the music business has changed, been the same, and you think might be their best next step to move forward?
Well, most bands form and they do other people's material first to get started, and I don't see anything wrong with that. But at some point, if you pretty much run that course and want to take the next step, you kind of need to find out who within the band has the talent to at least come up with ideas for an original song, and then maybe who could pitch in certain areas and make the song complete. And after you're able to put 4 or 5 of those type of ideas together into songs, you should go to a professional recording studio, or maybe even with the equipment that they have out today. You could do that in a living room or someplace. Yes, you're right, and submit that to a record company and see what kind of response you get. And I remember when Foreigner did that, we got all the major labels interested in us, and they all came down to hear us in our practice studio, and they thanked us and left, and they all turned us down. And their main complaint was that every song we played was over 6 minutes long, and they said that we should know that you can't get a single played on hit radio that's over 3.5 minutes long.
Yeah.
So
And
then,
a lot of bands face that.
yeah, but the A&R guy from Atlantic came back. It was John Kolodner. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
Another name. Yep.
Yes. He's found and broken a lot of big bands over the years. He was with Atlantic at that time. He came back, and we would play the songs for him, and he would say, "Why don't you cut that part out and have this part go directly to that part, shorten up the ending a little bit, and shorten up that guitar lead." So we'd bring 6 minute songs down to 2 minutes and 20 seconds, or 2 minutes and 45 seconds, and then we had the president and the vice president of the record label come down and hear them played with the new edits in it. And the president had the contracts with him that day.
Yeah. He probably knew what John was capable of. Yeah. So he knew to bring them along. Yeah. And it's that alone is one of the things that has changed. There's so little opportunity, at least from what I've seen in current A&R departments at record companies, such as they are, to have anybody do what John did, or the other John, famous John Hammond did in terms of grooming an artist
That's right.
to make them a commercial success.
That's what I always thought A&R department was.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just sort of go find them. Yeah. And the good news is there's a lot of alternatives. You see all sorts of stories of bands finding their most recent their replacement singer on YouTube from a tribute or
Sure.
cover band, or bands playing great stuff of their own on YouTube or Spotify, et cetera, and
Yep.
getting discovered, or even not, simply building it out on their own, with this tremendous online community. So it has been, we're running out of time here, Lou. What is something we haven't talked about and you think it'd be important for you to fans to know about?
Well, right now, I think they should know that um, towards the end of the year, there's going to be a new single release from my band, and right after I think early February, we'll have a new album out.
Excellent.
So
Tell me a bit more about your band.
a new single release in towards the end of the year, and a new album in February. My band includes my brother Ben on drums. We have Jeff Jacobs on keyboards, who played with Foreigner in the '90s. Scott Gilman, who plays sax and rhythm guitar with us, and he played with Foreigner in the '90s. Uh, um, Tony Franklin on bass guitar, he played with The Firm.
Mhm.
And um, Gary Hoey on lead guitar. You know him?
I do. He's a
Yes,
friend of the
he's had
station, as is
solo
Tony. But yeah, in fact, Gary's coming down our way in October.
with his own band, right?
Yep. Trying to do an interview with him, in fact.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he does a great job for us, and really enjoys playing the music. And we're very fortunate to have him. He's a team player and a great guy to hang out
He
with.
seems like it. Tell him from me, from Adam at Masters Radio, I start my Christmas season every year. Christmas doesn't begin for me until I've played his version of God Rest
Oh, that's awesome.
from his Christmas
I will
album.
tell him that.
I never skip it, since it came out in the '80s, I guess. Yeah. So yeah,
we
really
have
looking forward to it.
a very more than proficient band that likes to on the solos and certain sections we can elongate them and play around with them a little bit. We leave room for that, and the audience loves it, and I enjoy immensely performing with that band, playing my music.
Well, hopefully, any plans to take that show on the road?
Well, when we release the first single for the new album, we'll be performing all over the place.
Excellent. We hope you'll come down to the DC area, and maybe I can get a chance to see you in person.
That'd be great.
It absolutely would be. Like I said, you're one of my heroes.
Thank you.
We have been speaking with Lou Gramm of Foreigner and his own band as well. What's the name of your band, Lou?
The Lou Gramm All Stars.
The Lou Gramm All Stars. Thank you very much. And All Stars they are. He just went through the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
It has been a treat. He is a very busy guy. He will be with Foreigner in the fall, and we will have complete details in the show notes. Lou, it has been a pleasure to speak with you.
My pleasure, sir.